Welcome to the social dynamics of building an 8-figure business. My name is Victor Smushkovich, and in this course, I'm going to show you how to use social dynamics and how I personally use them to build an 8-figure business. In this course, you're going to learn about leadership. You're going to learn about how to inspire your team, communicate more effectively. You're going to learn about how to acquire anyone inside of your social circle. You're going to learn about how to anticipate the idiot. And most importantly, I'm going to teach you how to tie all of those together and incorporate them into you building an 8-figure business.
If you guys want to learn a little bit more about myself, you guys can check out the Q&A that I did with Luke. And in that video, I tell you a little bit more about my history and how I incorporated social dynamics into building my 8-figure agency.
Without further ado, let's jump on into the course. In this module, I'm going to teach you how to incorporate social dynamics into leadership and how to effectively lead your team to building an 8-figure business. So let's get started. The most important thing about leadership is you need to be able to lead yourself first. Don't even think about leading your team unless you can set an example and effectively lead by example. So how does that start? A true leader leads by example. If you guys are late for meetings, if you guys are late with deadlines, your whole team is going to think that that's acceptable. You guys need to set the standard for excellence. You guys need to lead by example. When your team looks at you, they need to be inspired. They need to be motivated and understand that they're working for a true leader in the space and not just some average leader. It's going to help you with retention, and it's going to help you guys build a whole company culture that's going to effectively translate to the public. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you about the 6 human needs. All humans have these 6 human needs, but at any given moment, we weight them differently. Number 1, certainty. Some people need structure, they need stability. Human need 2 is uncertainty, also known as variety. Some people say the spice of life. Some people don't like structure. Some people need new, change of scenery. The 3rd human need is love and connection. Some people need to feel love. Some people need to feel the connection to a group of people, to a friend group, or in a relationship. 4th human need is significance and recognition. This is going to be one of the most important ones that we're going to be using when effectively communicating to your team and making them feel like you care, because you actually should be caring about your team members. They are human beings, and you need to make sure that you inspire them and constantly show significance and recognition. The 5th human need is growth. People need to feel like they're growing intellectually, feeling like they're growing in self-development, or you can even be growing in your health. For example, going to the gym and making gains, as people like to call it. And the 6th human need is contribution. People need to feel like they're contributing to a cause. So just a quick recap. The 6 human needs are certainty, uncertainty and variety, love and connection, significance and recognition, growth, and contribution. And the 2 ones that we're going to primarily be focusing on when you guys are interacting with your team, significance and recognition, and contribution. So without further ado, let's get on to the next video. In this lesson, we're going to be discussing the 2 primary human needs that you're going to be using to develop your leaders. So let me give you a couple of examples of how I use significance and recognition and contribution within my organization. With all my employees and every single day, whenever I see them do something good, for example, I see them go the extra mile, I see someone working on a Saturday, I constantly give them praise. So if I see, let's say, my assistant working on a Saturday, I say, Dan Ray, thank you. I really appreciate that you're taking the time out of your schedule to help us achieve our goals. Another common example that I use throughout my organization and on my daily basis when I'm dealing with my team members is simple things like keep up the good work. I appreciate you putting in the extra hours. I appreciate you, working a Saturday or a Sunday. These small things go a long way. Why? Because it shows your team that you care. I've seen countless other entrepreneurs go in Zoom meetings and they're constantly talking negative to their team members. I'm surprised that their team members even stick around after they're so negative. So you want to make sure that your team feels like you actually care for them. If they don't feel like you care for them, they're not going to want to go that extra mile for you. They're only going to give you the bare minimum results. And they're not gonna give you any feedback because they're gonna feel scared that you're gonna shit on them. So contribution is extremely important for your team members to feel, so they feel like they're working towards a bigger cause and not only just a solo mission. So in the prime example of Capital Club, everyone here is working towards changing lives. We all have a collective goal, and that's our collective vision. And that's why contribution is essential for communicating when you guys are trying to develop leaders within your organization and when you guys are trying to develop a proper company culture. And finally, the most important reason, in my opinion, why it's important to show significance and contribution to your team members is because you create a company culture where people are open to give suggestions. So for me, I'm constantly asking every single one of my team members that I interact with, do you feel any ways that you can improve our processes? Do you feel any ways that you can improve our business? And if you create a company culture where you're constantly talking down on your employees, talking crap to them, they're gonna feel very timid. They're gonna feel like they can't give you any recommendations, and they're not gonna be open to give you suggestions. Your employees and your team members are the ones on the ground, so they have better eyes and a better perspective of what's going on in the business. So they're gonna be the ones that are gonna give you the best feedback because they're interacting with customers. They're interacting with the processes. If you guys have broken links in your processes or your systems, they're gonna be the ones to give you that feedback. It's very important that you create that company culture where people have the ability to give you feedback and they're not gonna get shit on. In this video, I want to talk about the importance of specificity and repetition. It's very important that you do not assume that your team understands what you're talking about. So that's why you need to be extremely specific. For example, if I just go and tell my data analyst to put together a KPI for all of our marketing plan, he may or may not give me the KPI that I'm looking for. When I'm giving him instructions, I need to make sure that I'm specific on what type of KPI. I need to be specific on what type of data I need to see in that KPI. For example, I'm gonna go down column by column. We need the CPA. We need to spend for Google Ads. We need to spend for Facebook. We need the CPA for leads under X employees, and so forth. Be specific. You cannot assume that your team is gonna understand what you're talking about, so you need to be extremely specific and not leave room for any error. I've made a lot of mistakes in the past where I just assumed that my team members understood me. I'd wait 2 days, pray to God, and they'd come back with an incorrect task, and I would get mad at them when in reality, it was my fault. You need to assume 100% responsibility for when your team members do the task wrong, because in reality, it's because you didn't describe the task specific enough. Now moving on to repetition. I'm constantly repeating myself when I'm talking to my team members. Why do I do this? Because I need to make sure that they understand what I'm saying, and I also make my team members repeat it back to me. So if I'm telling them, let's say I'm giving them a tutorial on a new CRM that we're using, I'm gonna repeat myself on saying, hey, did you understand how we log in here? Did you understand how we add the data to this section? And then once they say, yes, I understand, I'm gonna make them repeat it back to me so I can get 100% confirmation. Because if I don't have them repeat it back to me, I'm assuming. I'm leaving it up to chance and I'm assuming. And assumptions are the death in business. You need to be as close to 100% as possible when you guys are running a business. Otherwise, you guys are gonna lose time and you guys are gonna lose money. If you guys are trying to run an efficient business and you guys are trying to keep accelerating forward and not lose any time, you guys need to leave assumptions to as small as percentage as you possibly can, ideally 0. Business is about saying old things to new people and not saying new things to old people. Now, what does that mean? It's essentially saying that you're repeating yourself constantly throughout your business, making sure that everyone fully understands and that it's fully clear all the tasks that you're giving them, making sure that everyone is on the same page so you have the highest probability of success and minimum probability of errors. So just to summarize, it's very important that you guys are communicating with specificity and always repeating yourself, and most importantly, making sure that your team members are repeating it back to you to make sure that they understand. So to repeat myself and make sure that you clearly understand the importance of specificity and repetition, I'm gonna show you guys an important technique that I use to deliver constructive criticism to my team with also increasing the morale and boosting their confidence. Now let's get on to the next lesson.